Good afternoon, and welcome to this press conference, which we are organizing on the occasion of the first meeting of the European Union and Central Asian Ministers of Education. We will start, as usual, with introductory statements by Latvian Minister of Education, Ms. Mārīte Seile, and State Secretary of the Latvian Foreign Ministry, Mr. Andrejs Pildegovičs. We will then proceed to questions and answers. And I also wanted to let you know that we have with us today other heads of delegations sitting here in this press conference room, and you will have the opportunity to ask questions to them as well during the questions and answers session. And now I pass the floor to Minister Seile.
Thank you very much.
Liels paldies. Labdien visiem.
Europe has intensified the focus on the stronger European Union and Central Asia relations, highlighting education as the field that has the largest potential for economical growth and development. I do believe that the country is as competitive as each one of its individuals. And Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan have all gone through major reforms in higher education as well as vocational education and training. Today, we clearly saw the progress achieved by our partners, and the European Union has been glad to assist in this transformation process. Since 2007, education has become one of the most successful areas of Central Asia and European Union cooperation. European Union education programs, especially Erasmus+, have served as essential tools to modernize Central Asian education institutions, to increase student and staff mobility, and to extend their cooperation networks. Coupling the education, research, and labor markets will promote the development of innovations and job opportunities for young people, while also contributing to the sustainability of regions' economical development. This is why I am especially satisfied with today's results. Today, the EU member states and the 6 Central Asian countries agreed over the joint communiqué. The communiqué addresses 3 areas in particular. First one, development of qualification frameworks and structures. Second one, quality assurance and accreditation. And third one, employment and labor market needs. And as an annex to this joint communiqué, the ministers also endorsed the indicative roadmap of activities under the Central Asia Education Platform for 2015-2018. And this is already a very concrete plan of concrete activities to be implemented by the European Commission, its agencies, and the European External Action Service in cooperation with EU member states and Central Asian partner countries. To evaluate the progress, the ministers have agreed to meet again in 2, let's say at most 3 years. And as for Latvia's bilateral relations with Central Asia, this academic year, Latvia hosts 925 students from Central Asia, which is 17.5% of the total foreign students in Latvia. This number hopefully will grow in the coming years due to the bilateral cooperation, and I hope due to the good comments and good experience of Central Asia students here in Latvia. And we hope also to have more bilateral agreements between Latvia and countries of Central Asia. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Seile. And now I pass the floor to Mr. Pildegovičs.
Honorable Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Latvian Foreign Ministry and the Latvian Presidency, I would like to pledge once again our full support to our commitment to the strengthening of the EU ties with the neighbors of the Union in the East, in the South, and with the neighbors, as we call it in diplomatic language. And during our first EU presidency, we have had two major priorities. One related to the review of the neighborhood policy, and we think that 2015 will be the year of redefinition of EU strategy regarding the partnership with eastern neighbors, with southern neighbors. And the second, quite unique signature priority of the Latvian presidency, I think for the first time in the history of EU 28, is devoted to the review of EU Central Asia strategy. Since 2007, many things have happened, positive developments, new developments in the region, and we are very pleased that this synergetic effort by the European Commission, External Action Service, commitment of all EU 28 now is focused to a review of Central Asia policy. And this Monday, our foreign ministers have agreed to make this revision, and in the coming 4 years, the main energy will be put on three directions. One is rule of law, strengthening of the rule of law, strengthening of environment and water management. And the third very important long-term investment is in cooperation in science and education. And this meeting is quite historical indeed, because for the first time the political leaders of this very important sector of economy and public life, education, are meeting with counterparts from EU member states. We are very happy that this circle of friends is being extended, expanded. We are not making just forward-looking declarations, but we have a backing in financial terms. We have considerable interest among different stakeholders, among universities, research institutions, associations. And today we have approved the roadmap to move forward. In the coming 4 years, we have quite considerable budgetary means to implement our common vision, and we very much hope that here in Riga we make a first step in a long journey together, a journey which will bring more stability, more welfare, more prosperity to our regions, and this policy will generate additional energy for economic development in Europe, in Asia, in Eurasia in general, and this initiative will produce results in immediate future. Thank you.
Thank you, State Secretary. And we have now time for questions and answers. We invite you to state your name and the media you represent. As we indicated earlier, you can pose the questions to other heads of delegations as well. And who will be first? Any questions? We have 3 working languages: Latvian, English, and Russian. Please, any of those 3. Yes, please.
Labdien, Anastasija.
Good afternoon, Latvian television, Russian news. I'm a question about the vocational education. How important is it? What role does it play? And what are we going to do to develop it and to attract people to learn there? In many European Union countries and other Central Asia countries, and also in Latvia, we see that the situation is very similar, that vocational education is not, has not been very prestigious among young people. And that's why, also during this conference, we discussed how to promote this vocational education and its prestige. And at the same time, we admitted that vocational education is as important and choice as any other kind of education. And young people after the graduation from vocational institutions should have similar possibilities to continue their work life or their education in higher education institutions and other options. And on the ways how to improve this prestige, there are a number of important factors. It's appropriate legislation as well as appropriate infrastructure and a good educational base, as well as qualified teachers and academic staff, as well as cooperation with employers, which is very important. Cooperation also with social partners. And I would like to mention that I believe that Latvia is a good example. Also, at the level of the EU, and development here has been very prestige increasing, and also in view of the previously mentioned 4 pillars, as if I can say so, and it was really in compliance what was talked today during the conference. All countries talked about similar movement, and it's clear that each country is in its own stage of development, and we see that this mutual cooperation can give us a possibility to learn from each other. And I hope that Latvia will be a good example and a good cooperation partner that can be learned, that others can learn from, and Latvia can take initiative in dealing experience, especially in vocational education.
Так сказать, профориентации образования для дипломатов.
What about professional education for diplomats? Using this high meeting, we would like to share our proposals, our initiatives concerning passing on the Latvian experience to our partners concerning our interaction with the European Union. European Union is a complicated institution, complicated unit. It is in a constant state of change. There are new regulations that are being worked out constantly. The balance of authorities is changing. The Euro Parliament is taking a more active role. So 2 years ago, on the basis of the Riga School of Law, we set up a program of exchange of experience regarding the European law and the European trade legislation and the transformational experience of Latvia within the last 25 years. And from our side, we are absolutely eager to share these programs with our colleagues, and I hope that they are of mutual interest, and we're definitely interested on the level of the Euro Commission and the European Union for this exchange of experts to continue and be developed, because naturally, it is not enough to have knowledge from books for our businessmen and lawyers and scientists to fruitfully exchange their knowledge, and for the partnership between the European Union and the Central Asian countries to be based on solid ground. Thank you.
Any other questions? Vēl jautājumi? Jā, lūdzu.
Question for foreign ministers: how highly demanded is higher education? Latvian higher education is of high demand. Are your citizens are your citizens ready to go to Latvia to receive higher education in Latvia? Vice Minister of Education of Kazakhstan, our higher education institutions are carrying out a big work of cooperation with universities of the world, including universities of Latvia, and there are programs of exchange of experience that are that are of big interest among the youth of Kazakhstan. And we have also been discussing the fact that we have a scholarship of the President of Kazakhstan that is given to the best students for studying in the best higher education institutions of the world. I think the Latvian institutions can become part of that program. So the demand for our youth of the institutions is one direction, and the other directions, the questions we have been discussing are very of high importance, and the ideas we are carrying out on the state level, they're also being discussed, and they will be of high importance for us.
Rahmatullah Mirmanbayev, the first Deputy Minister of Education and Science, Tajikistan. Speaking more concretely, our country, Tajikistan, is ready to cooperate with the ministries of education of the Republic of Latvia and directly with the higher education institutions. I have to know that our students are receiving their education here, and we also are sending our students with the President's bourse and as financing through the President's Fund, and we will continue to develop a student program within this bourse, and we are ready to cooperate with the Ministry of Education and Science of the Republic of Latvia. We want to maintain and to establish direct links and contacts between our higher education institutions. I need to mention that Latvian higher education institutions are preparing specialists of very high global level, and that's why cooperation with the Latvian universities is very beneficial for us. Thank you. Begbu Fadiliev, Deputy Minister of Education and Science of Kyrgyzstan. And of course, we are very interested in the proposal too, because we don't have the Iron Curtain as other countries do, so we have no administrative barriers for our students to come here. And our young people are very well informed about the Latvian situation, and Latvia could, through education, become that very necessary corridor to obtain European knowledge and to provide education according to the European standards, and in order to be demanded in our country as visitors or even in Europe. And that's why I think that we will have to sign several agreements or to implement certain actions from the side of ministers, and I think that our students will only be happy. We already received several letters to the ministry, and I personally read them, and I think that the next year we'll have new projects in this context, and I think that concerning our universities and also through private distant forms of education, we have several students that are receiving their education, and I think they're graduating this year. Thank you. Geldmamet, Deputy Minister of Education of Turkmenistan. We are also interested in the proposal. In Turkmenistan, we have a network of universities, of higher education institutions, and I would like to say that we have opened a new University of Humanitarian Sciences, where education is provided in English language. And what is happening inside the country, we are opening new higher education institutions, but at the same time, our young people have an opportunity through our international agreements to visit other countries and to go there for education. And we are very interested, we would be keen to give education to our young people in Latvia. And yesterday we visited the Graduate School of Law in Riga, and I would like to point out that a young student from Turkmenistan is following this study program, and we hope on further cooperation. We are very interested. Thank you.
Thank you. Paldies. Vēl jautājumi? Еще вопросы?
Any other questions?
This press conference. Thank you very much.